how we met our next case study, Hagop from Bowtie Construction. I'm going to pass you over to Hagop, but I think we met him at one of the physical CGI workshops when I think we were all amazed at the different things that could be done to a business. So I'm going to pass over to Hagop. So Elaine, if you could close your presentation or stop sharing rather, that's it. And Hagop, I'm sure you're there somewhere. If you could share your screen.
Sorry, I'm just wrestling with multiple maximized windows and screens.
Okay, I know the problem.
Can everyone see my Bowtie Construction?
Yep, you're in.
Brilliant. Thanks for that, Elaine. That was really fascinating. I'm also an innovation director. It's always nice to speak after another innovation director. We're a very different business. So yeah, my name's Hagop. I'm innovation director of Bowtie Construction. I'm also a certified passive house designer, which means I help to design passive houses and all the measures that go into making buildings more energy efficient. See if I can get my next slide up. There we go. So we are London's passive house retrofit specialists. We have been since 2011, and we consider ourselves to be building the future because our buildings use far, far less energy than the typical house built to building regs, around a fifth of the sort of amount of energy. And once you're using so little energy in the house, you're very close to being able to go to net zero carbon through solar panels and air source heat pumps. We've been really doing individual houses for private individuals since 2011. We're now working on a concept for sort of what we call volume retrofit. So retrofitting multiple units in a single building. This is our live project for the Royal Borough of Kensington and Chelsea. And this is a 36 unit apartment building that we're looking at insulating from the outside and retrofitting to net zero carbon using air source heat pumps and solar panels using the Energy Sprong spec. As part of this, I'm also very keen on permaculture design, which looks at people care, earth care, and fair shares. And so we have a concept for an organic gardening project that will basically, residents will grow their own, sow their own seeds, grow their own plants, which they will then be assisted in growing on their balconies. So it's all about psychological well-being as well as energy efficiency. And we also plan to install fairly advanced monitoring dashboard. So there'll be a public dashboard that looks very much like this one, which has been built by the Active Office Centre in Wales. And the public will be able to log in and see how much energy is being generated, see what the temperature of the cylinders is, see how the energy is being distributed throughout the building, how it's being used. Down here is an example of monitoring that we'll have installed specifically for our maintenance team, who will be able to see how the equipment's functioning, if it's any faults or if there's any inefficiencies that might show that there's a component which is maybe wearing out or nearing the end of its life. And this is the view that the actual residents will have inside their homes, showing the outside temperature, the inside temperature, and the relative humidity. So that's sort of a really broad overview of what we do. And it all looks wonderful and spangling. But the reality is that we are a business with commercial pressures, and we deliver this work using, for the most part, fairly old diesel vehicles. And it's something I've never been particularly happy about. Some of these are our actual cars, some of these are just examples, but some of our vehicles sort of date back to the 90s. And I've always had this dream of going electric and being able to live what we believe in terms of our values as a company, which delivers extremely low operational carbon buildings, probably the lowest, in the whole of London. So how could we go electric? So it's always been in the back of my mind. I then came across when I was searching for grant funding and innovation assistance, I came across Greentech South. I looked at their program of talks and workshops, and I believe it was February 2019 that I attended my first workshop. In that workshop, there were various sort of tips and suggestions given on how to improve energy efficiency. And there was mention of emphasis funding, which could help us to reduce our CO2 as a company, which we applied for. We were then sort of approved to have our company audited. And so because we don't own our own premises, we're in rented premises. So we weren't really able to look at how we could improve the energy efficiency of our own office. So we really have been focusing on the vehicles. And so GEP Environmental put together this assessment of transport savings opportunities. And I've just grabbed a few screen grabs from that report. So we sort of tabulated all of our vehicles in our fleet. We looked at the possible whole life cost savings, whole life energy savings, and most importantly, the CO2 savings. And GEP worked out that we could save a total of 144.6 tons of CO2. So that sort of reduced that from being emitted completely. And then there are a few other suggestions, such as basic driver training, including eco driving, improving monitoring and reporting. But obviously the biggest benefit was going to be from the replacement of diesel vehicles with EVs. Which we have gone ahead and done with our emphasis grant. We've replaced this Corsa and this van, and we're in the process currently of applying for funding to replace this Isuzu Trooper. The vehicles that we have purchased are this Renault Kangoo Maxi Crew is a 5-seater, and we're currently using that to transport our builders from where they live in High Wycombe into the middle of London, Bloomsbury, where we are currently retrofitting a 400 square meter townhouse to being quite close to net zero carbon. Our director has gone from driving a Vauxhall Corsa to driving this BMW i3, and he does a lot of miles. He will often do 100 miles in a day, just because he's going from site to site, checking everything's running as it should be. And the Trooper is going to be hopefully replaced with this Renault Zoe. So fairly short presentation from me, and thank you for listening, and happy to take any questions about the process.
Okay, I just remembered to unmute myself. I've only been on Zoom for 9 months, so give me a bit of time. Hagop, thank you very, very much, and also to Elaine, two fascinating